Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dide Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naishtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita by Satsvarup Das Goswami, Volume 2, Planting the Seed, New York City, 1965 to 1966. Chapter 18, Breaking Ground. So Prabhupada had a few visitors or followers in his storefront at 26 2nd Avenue. He had the Kirtan, and now he is beginning the lecture. Now today we shall begin the 4th chapter, what Lord Krishna says to Arjuna. His lecture is very basic and yet for restless youth, heavily philosophical. Some can't take it and they rise rudely upon hearing the Swami's first words, put on their shoes at the front door and return to the street. Others have left as soon as they saw the singing was over. Still, this is his best group yet. A few of the Bawari congregation are present. The boys from Mott Street are there, and they are specifically looking for a guru. Many in the group have already read Bhagavad Gita, and they are not too proud to hear and admit that they didn't understand. It's another hot and noisy July evening outside his door. Children are on summer vacation and they stay out on the street until dark. Nearby, a big dog is barking, row, row, row. The traffic creates constant rumbling. Just outside the window, little girls are shrieking. And all this makes lecturing difficult. Yet, despite the distraction of children, traffic, and dogs, he wants the door open. If it is closed, he says, why is it closed? People may come in. He continues, undaunted, quoting Sanskrit, holding his audience and developing his urgent message, while the relentless cacophony rivals his every word. Row, row, row. Dogs are barking. Kya, shrieking the little Spanish witches, the girls disturb the whole block. In the distance, a man shouts from his window, get out of here, get out of here. Prabhupada, ask them not to make noise. Roy, one of the boys in the temple, the man is chasing the kids now. Prabhupada, yes, these children are making a disturbance. Ask them. Roy, that's what, the man's chasing them right now. Prabhupada, they're making noises. Yes, he's chasing them. The man chases the children away, but they will be back. You can't chase the children off the street. They live there. And the big dog never stops barking. And who can stop the cars? The cars are always there. Prabhupada uses the cars to give an example. When a car momentarily comes into our vision on 2nd Avenue, we certainly don't think that it had no existence before we saw it, or that it ceases to exist once it has passed from our view. Similarly, when Krishna goes from this planet to another, it doesn't mean he no longer exists, although it may appear that way. Actually, he has only left our side. Krishna and his incarnations constantly appear and disappear on innumerable planets throughout the innumerable universes of the material creation. So nice example Prabhupada is giving, just so that we can understand. The cars are always passing, roaring and rumbling through every word Prabhupada speaks. The door is open and he is poised at the edge of a river of carbon monoxide, asphalt, rumbling tires, and constant waves of traffic. He has come a long way from the banks of his Yamuna in Vrindavan, where great saints and sages have gathered through the ages to discuss Krishna consciousness. But his audience lives here amid this scene. So he has come here, beside 2nd Avenue's rushing river of traffic, to speak loudly the ageless message. He's still stressing the same point. Whatever you do in Krishna consciousness, however little it may be, is eternally good for you. Yet now, more than uptown or on the Bowery, he is calling his hearers to take to Krishna consciousness fully and become devotees. He assures them, Anyone can become a devotee and friend of Krishna like Arjuna. You will be surprised that Lord Chaitanya's principal disciples were all so-called fallen in society. He appointed Haridas Thakur to the highest position in his spiritual mission, although he happened to take birth in a Mohammedan family. So there is no bar for anyone. Everyone can become spiritual master, provided he knows the science of Krishna. This is the science of Krishna. This Bhagavad Gita. And if anyone knows it perfectly, then he becomes a spiritual master. And this transcendental vibration, Hare Krishna, will help us by cleaning the dust from the mirror of our mind. On the mind, we have accumulated material dust, just like on the Second Avenue, due to constant traffic of motor cars. There's always a creation of dust over everything. Similarly, by our manipulation of materialistic activities, there are some material dusts which are accumulated on the mind, and therefore we are unable to see things in true perspective. So this process, the vibration of the transcendental sound, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, will cleanse the dust. And as soon as the dust is cleansed, then as you see your nice face in the mirror, similarly, you can see your real constitutional position as spirit soul. In Sanskrit language, it is said, Bhav Mahadavarni. Lord Chaitanya said that. Lord Chaitanya's picture you have seen in the front window. He is dancing and chanting Hare Krishna. So it doesn't matter what a person was doing before, what sinful activities. A person may not be perfect at first, but if he is engaged in service, he will be purified. So actually this is Shikshashtakam first verse, Cheto Darpan Marjan, will happen by chanting of this Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Suddenly a Bowery derelict enters, whistling and drunkenly shouting. The audience remains seated, not knowing what to make of it. Drunk. How are you? I'll be right back. I brought another thing. Prabhupada, don't disturb. Sit down. We are talking seriously. Drunk. I'll put it up there in a church. All right, I'll be right back. The man is white-haired with short, grizzly beard and frowsy clothing. His ardor reeks through the temple, but then he suddenly careens out the door and is gone. Prabhupada chuckles softly and returns immediately to his lecture. So it doesn't matter what a person was doing before. If he engages in Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, it should be concluded that he is a saint. He is a saintly person. Api chesu durachara. Never mind if he may have some external immoral habit due to his past association. It doesn't matter. Some way or other, one should become Krishna conscious, and then gradually he will become a saintly person as he goes on executing this process of Krishna consciousness. There is a story about how habit is second nature. There was a thief and he went on pilgrimage with some friends. So at night, when the others were sleeping, because his habit was to steal at night, he got up and was taking someone's baggage. But then he was thinking, oh, I have come to this holy place of pilgrimage. Why still I am committing theft by habit? No, I shall not do it. So then he took someone's bag and put it in another's place, and for the whole night, the poor fellow moved the bags of pilgrims from here to there. But due to his conscience, because he was on a holy pilgrimage, he did not actually take anything. So in the morning, when everyone got up, they looked around and said, where is my bag? I don't see it. And another man says, I don't see my bag. And then someone says, oh, there is your bag. So there was some row. And so they thought, what's the matter? How has it so happened? Then the thief rose up and told all of the friends, my dear gentlemen, I'm a thief by occupation. And because I have the habit to steal at night, I could not stop myself. But I thought, I have come to this holy place, so I won't do it. Therefore, I placed one person's bag in another man's place. Please excuse me. So this is habit. He doesn't want to, but he has a habit of doing it. He has decided not to commit theft anymore. But sometimes he does, habitually. So Krishna says that in such conditions, when one who has decided to stop all immoral habits and just take to this process of Krishna consciousness, if by chance it does something which is immoral in the face of society, that should not be taken account of. In the next verse, Krishna says, Kshipram bhavati dharma. Because he has dovetailed himself in Krishna consciousness, it is sure that he'll be a saintly person soon. He'll be saintly very soon. So this is the process of Krishna consciousness. And anyway, we are here in the material world, we have taken birth here, means we are sinful. Simple as that. Somebody has committed more sins than others, that's all. But because we have taken birth here, we have sinful background, and we just have to work on it, make progress spiritually. Suddenly the old derelict returns, announcing his entrance. How are you? He's carrying something. He maneuvers his way through the group straight to the back of the temple where the Swami is sitting. He opens the toilet room door, puts two rolls of bathroom tissue inside, closes the door and then turns to the sink, sits some paper towels on top of it, puts two more rolls of bathroom tissues and some more paper towels under the sink. He then stands and turns around towards the Swami and the audience. The Swami is looking at him and asks, "What is this?" The bum is silent now. He has done his work. Prabhupada begins to laugh, thanking his visitor, who is now moving towards the door. Thank you very much. The bum exits. Just see, Prabhupada now addresses his congregation. It is a natural tendency to give some service. Just see, he's not in order. But he thought that here is something, let me give some service. Just see how automatically it comes. This is natural. And actually later Prabhupada said to somebody, one of his disciples, that this bum who came, he did little service. The Prabhupada said, this is called Agyat Sukriti. He has made progress. All he did, he brought some bathroom paper towels and tissues and put them in the bathroom and he left. No listening to lecture, no kirtan, nothing. But because he served, he made the progress. So this is how we accumulate Agyat Sukriti. Keep on accumulating. Then Krishna makes arrangement that we come in contact with devotees. And then obviously it says our independence choice, whether we take up the association seriously or not. If we take it up seriously, then we make further progress. If not, then then that balance of Sukriti is still there, remains there. Then he gives another chance to come in contact with devotees. It's a long process, very long process, many, many lifetimes it can go on. But the point is, those who have taken up the process, they should take it up seriously and try to make further progress swiftly. That's the whole idea. The young men in the audience look at one another. This is really far out. First, the chanting with the brass cymbals, the Swami looking like Buddha and talking about Krishna and chanting. And now this crazy stuff with the bum. But the Swami stays cool. He's really cool. Just sitting on the floor like he's not afraid of anything. Just talking his philosophy about the soul and us becoming saints, and even the old drunk becoming a saint. After almost an hour, the dog still barks and the kids still squeal. Prabhupada is asking his hearers, who are only beginners in spiritual life, to become totally dedicated preachers of Krishna consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita, you'll find that anyone who preaches the gospel of Bhagavad Gita to the people of the world is the most dear, the dearest person to Krishna. Therefore, it is our duty to preach the principles of this Bhagavad Gita to make people Krishna conscious. Prabhupada can't wait to tell them, even if they are not ready It is too urgent. The world needs Krishna conscious preachers. See, I mean, the hippies in the Bowery or on say 26th Avenue, they don't know anything. And Prabhupada is asking them to become preachers. And here, I'm sorry to say, in our class, people are listening, coming, following for so many years. But when you still ask them to preach, oh no, Prabhupada, I don't know anything. Come on. And here, Prabhupada, first lecture, he's asking them to become preachers. We just have to take it up seriously. That's all. People are suffering for want of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, each and every one of us should be engaged in the preaching work of Krishna consciousness for the benefit of the whole world. Lord Chaitanya, whose picture is in the front of our store, has very nicely preached the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. The Lord says, just take my orders, all of you, and become a spiritual master. Lord Chaitanya gives the order that in every country you go and preach Krishna consciousness. So if we take up this missionary work to preach Bhagavad Gita as it is, without interpretation, without any material motives behind it, as it is, then Krishna says it shall be done. Without interpretation, without any material motives behind it. Without any material motive. Material motive means, I don't want to make money out of it, and I don't want to do it just to increase number of followers or have a reputation, high reputation that, oh, this and that person is such a big preacher, but big Swami. No. Only purpose is to transform, to not even to transform, to help them transform uh, from Maya consciousness to Krishna consciousness. To serve. The mood should be of service. Also, once somebody asked Maharaj, how come you do this katha so nicely? And his answer was very simple. He said, actually, I enjoy when I speak. I don't look at whether the audience is enjoying it or not. I enjoy. And when I enjoy, I speak with so much of, I have the bliss of enjoying, the people also enjoy. So this is all preaching is, that's it. All we have to do is preach. And enjoy the preaching, not forcing somebody, not yelling at somebody. When we are yelling at somebody, we are not enjoying. Just enjoy. And seeing our approach, people follow. We should not have any attraction for worldly activities, otherwise we can't have Krishna. But it doesn't mean that we should be inimical to the people of the world. No, it is our duty to give them the highest instruction that you become Krishna conscious. A young man in the audience seems unable to contain himself. He begins making his own incoherent speech. Prabhupada, no, you cannot disturb just now. Man standing up. No, wait a minute, man. A quarrel begins as others try to quiet him. Prabhupada, no, not just now. No, you cannot ask just now. Man, well, I'm trying to talk. Prabhupada, no, just now you cannot ask. Man, but wait a minute, man, wait. Prabhupada, why do we interfere just now? We have a regular question time. Others in the audience, let the man finish. Yeah, let him talk. The man's supporters defend his right to speak, while others try to silence him. And actually, this is also how it works. Here in America, even in the classroom, one can stand up at any time and ask question. This is the tradition, this is the culture here. But in like Prabhupada, what he followed and what he's trying to establish is, let me finish the lecture and then you ask. They're just two different cultures, that's all. Others in the audience, let the man speak. Second man, I have just one question, please. How long is an individual allowed or expected to go on without any type of thought? How long? Prabhupada, I'm not finished. We'll give question time after finishing the talk. The parties go on quarreling. All right, I'm very glad you're curious, but please wait. Have some patience because we have not finished. As soon as we finish, after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'll tend to your question. Don't be impatient. Sit down. The audience quiets down and the Swami goes on with his talk. After 5 minutes, Prabhupada, all right, this gentleman is impatient. We shall stop here. Now, what's your question, sir? Ma'am. Practically, we tend to place emphasis on those we identify with the fact itself. Many people are meant to explain the why force and where force of the metaphysical truth, and that I think, therefore I am. Also, another thing, very important thing is, Prabhupada here is 70 years old with thick Bengali accent. He didn't have American accent. And all these young boys in the 20s with American upbringing, still they could understand Prabhupada. That is another amazing thing. First, Bengali accent. Secondly, they had never heard of the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada is talking about Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers. But somehow they understood. Like this, I guess this is how Paramatma, Super Soul works. Prabhupada, what is your particular question? Man, I have no answer to that question. Rather, but that I attempt. I live, I breathe. Prabhupada, yes. So ability, tell me why I have nothing to do with it. May I understand the why force and where's? Prabhupada, that's all right. Man, I have difficulty in you. I have difficulty in saying. Prabhupada, so long as we are in this material world, there are so many problems. Man, not many problems. It is not many problems. This is the greatest fact I know. Prabhupada, yes. I also know that the whys and wherefores are my particular. Prabhupada, yes. Man, I didn't come here, but let me explain my position. This isn't necessarily. I feel, I think the difference is to learn. You will find it in innumerable times by the same token. Maybe we are able to reconcile the fact of individual being for a long time to find out why. Prabhupada, turning to one of the boys, Roy, can you answer his question? It's a general question. You can answer, yes. And another thing, I don't know, how come when Satsuru Maharaj was writing this book and he interviewed everybody, how did they remember? Or maybe they just thought this is what this man said. Because how can you remember all these sentences 12 or 15 years later? I don't know. Roy turns sympathetically to the rambling questioner and Prabhupada addresses his audience. Enough questions. His voice now seems tired and resigned. Let's have kirtan. And the lower east side once again abates. The chanting begins. The brass cymbals, Prabhupada's voice carrying the melody and the audience responding. It goes for half an hour and then stops. It's now 9 o'clock. The audience sits before Swami Ji while a boy brings him an apple, a small wooden bowl and a knife. As most of the audience still sits and watches, gazing the after effects of the chanting as though it had been some new drug, the Swami cuts the apple in half, then in fours, then in eights, until there are many pieces. He takes one himself and asks one of the boys to pass the bowl around. Swamiji holds back his head and deftly pops a slice of apple into his mouth without touching his fingers to his lips. He chews a bit, ruminating, his lips closed. The members of the congregation munch silently on little pieces of apple. Prabhupada stands, slips into his shoes and exits through the side door. Means he went to his apartment to take rest or to work on his translation, and the audience also left. As Prabhupada retired to his apartment and his guests disappeared through the front door back into the city, Don and Raphael would turn out the lights, lock the front door, and go to sleep on the floor in their blankets. Don and Raphael had needed a place to stay when they heard about the Swami's place. Prabhupada had a policy that any boy who expressed even a little interest in becoming his student could stay in the storefront and make it his home. Of course, Prabhupada would ask them not to contribute towards the rent and meals, but if, like Don and Raphael, they had no money, then it was still all right, provided they helped in other ways. Don and Raphael were the first two boys to take advantage of Prabhupada's offer. They were attracted to Swamiji and the chanting, but they weren't serious about his philosophy of the disciplines of devotional life. They had no jobs, no money. Their hair was long and unkempt, and they lived and slept in the same clothes day after day. Prabhupada stipulated that at least while they were on the premises, they could not break his rules: no intoxication, illicit sex, meat eating, or gambling. He knew these two boarders weren't serious students, but he allowed them to stay in hopes that they gradually would become serious. So even in America, no money, no jobs, living in the same clothes every day. In India, it would be very, very difficult, but at least they were in Prabhupada's shelter. Often some wayfaring stranger would stop by looking for a place to stay the night, and Don and Raphael would welcome him. An old white-bearded Indian turned Christian who was on a walking mission proclaiming the end of the world and whose feet were covered with bandages once slept for a few nights on the wooden bench in the storefront. Some nights, as many as 10 drifters would seek shelter at the storefront. Don and Raphael would admit them, explaining that Swami didn't object as long as they get up early. Even drifters whose only interest was a free meal would stay, and after the morning class and breakfast, they would usually drift off again into Maya. Don and Raphael were the Swami's steady boarders, although during the day they also went out, returning only for meals, sleep, and evening chanting. Occasionally they would bathe, and then they would use the Swami's bathroom up in his apartment. Sometimes they would hang out in the storefront during the day, and if someone stopped by asking about the Swami's classes, they would tell the person all they knew, which wasn't much. They admitted that they weren't really into the Swami's philosophy, and they didn't claim to be his followers. If someone persisted in inquiring about the Swami's teachings, Don and Raphael would suggest, why don't you go up and talk to him? The Swami lives in the apartment building out back. Why don't you go up and see him? Prabhupada usually stayed in his apartment. Occasionally, he might look out his window and see through the back windows of the storefront that the light in the closet-sized bathroom had needlessly been left burning, coming down to ask the boys to turn it off and not waste electricity. He might find a few boys lying on the floor talking or reading. Prabhupada would stand gravely, asking them not to leave the light on, stressing the seriousness of wasting Krishna's energy and money. He would stand dressed in khadi, that coarse hand-loomed cotton woven from hand-spun threads, a cloth that to Americans appears somehow exotic. Even the saffron color of Prabhupada's dhoti and chadar was exotic, produced from the traditional Indian dye. It was a dull, uneven color, different from anything Western. After Prabhupada turned off the light, the boys seemed to have nothing to say and nothing more appropriate to do than look with interest at him for a long, awkward moment. And the Swami would leave without saying anything. Money was scarce. From his evening meetings, he would usually collect about $5 or $6 in change and bills. Don talked of going up to New England to pick apples and bring back money for the Swami. Raphael said something about some money coming. Prabhupada waited and depended on Krishna. Sometimes he would walk back and forth in the courtyard between the buildings. Seeming mysterious to the neighbors, he would chant on his beads, his hand deep in his bead bag. Mostly he kept to his room working, as he had said during a lecture when living on the Bowery. I'm here, always working at something, reading or writing, something, reading or writing, 24 hours. His mission of translating Srimad Bhagavatam, of presenting the complete work in 60 volumes of 400 pages each, could alone occupy all his days and nights. He worked at it whenever possible, sitting at his portable typewriter or translating the Sanskrit into English. He especially worked in the very early hours of the morning when he would not be interrupted. He would comb through the Sanskrit and Bengali commentaries of the great acharyas, following their explanations, selecting passages from them, adding his own knowledge and realization, and then laboriously weaving it all together and typing out his Bhaktivedanta purports. He had no means or immediate plans of financing the publishing of further volumes, but he continued in the faith that somehow they would be published. So that was his desire, to publish Srimad Bhagavatam and somehow to set up this preaching mission in America. Okay, I guess we can stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Nice class. I have a question, Prabhuji. What is the second initiation?
It's called Brahman Diksha. Means it's not that they're not Brahmins before, but now they're official Brahmins, and they can go on the altar in the temple to do service.
Oh.
So to go on the altar, you need second initiation.
Promotion.
You can say so.
Oh, that's
Prabhuji, one question.
Yes.
ये जो second initiation है, this one is this process is done via ISKCON, or is it part of the Shastras?
Actually, this is how Prabhupada established it. Actually, if we go by exact words of Shastras, then there is no such thing as Harinam initiation. Brahman initiation is a real initiation. But Srila Prabhupada established it like that. So Harinam initiation is the first initiation. So at least to get the candidate serious, to make him serious.
I think, Prabhuji, this is beautiful because this process is beautiful because, you know, someone, like we say, right, agar if a Brahmin is completely fallen, right, by his krits, by his, from his duties, right, uh, obviously he is doing menial activities, right, so he won't be, you know, कैसे गए कि अगर भक्ति में नहीं है, चीजों को अपने हिसाब से नहीं कर रहा, तो फिर उसकी वो ब्राह्मण होने का हक ही नहीं है उसको. And then beautifully, Srila Prabhupada has done that, you know, if you are doing everything right as per the Shastras, as per the spirituality, then you are very beloved to your God also, like Lord Krishna loves you. And इसीलिए शायद ऐसा किया कि हाँ, now you can go ahead and do everything. तो वैष्णव को इसीलिए कहा गया कि ब्राह्मण हो या वैष्णव हो, इट्स ऑल सेम. तो दैट्स वेरी ब्यूटीफुल प्रभु जी. और ना ये चीजें मिटाता है जस्ट यू नो, दो वी हैव अ वर्ण व्यवस्था, बट अब क्योंकि जैसे जैसे हम बढ़ रहे हैं एडवांसमेंट की तरफ, एक अलग ही प्रोपेगेंडा आ गया है चीजों का ना. लोग वर्णाश्रम तो भूल ही गए. पीपल टेक इट इन ना जातिवाद, कास्ट सिस्टम बेसिस. सो उस चीज को मिटाने के लिए दिस इज द बेस्ट फॉर्मूला आई वुड से, कि हम वैष्णव की तरफ जाएं और यू नो प्रीच करें, चैंट करें और इस चीज को आगे बढ़ाएं, प्रमोट करें।
So
हाँ,
true,
तो
उसका
मेरे
Prabhuji. So
प्यूरिफिकेशन तो
true.
होनी चाहिए ना, टू बी ए ब्राह्मण,
आई एम ए
one
बिग
has to
सपोर्टर ऑफ दिस प्रॉपर्टी। बहुत अच्छा लगता है मुझे ये कि ये जो प्रोसेस ले आए हैं, आई रियली लॉजिकली दिस इज आल्सो वेरी गुड। या
So yes, Prabhupada ने कई revolutionary ideas लगाए हैं, but he is an acharya, he could do that, and but he got criticized also because of these, but that's okay. चलो ठीक है, you all have a safe and wonderful day.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
हरे
Jai Shri Krishna.
कृष्णा,
Hare
जय
Krishna.
श्री
Jai
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji.